Welcome back to Blue Collar Coder. I'm Jack Herrington at Jaher on Twitter. And in this one, we are going to continue our look into NX monorepos by getting a NextJS app to talk to an Express backend, which was specifically asked for by the viewers. So really excited to jump into it. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff in here. Let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is create our our NX monorepo. So I'm going to go to my temp directory, and then I'm going to run NX, and it's going to tell me that I want to do this npx create NX workspace. So let's go do that. Okay, so let's decide on a name. I'm going to call this NX Pokemon 1 because we're going to do a little bit of Pokemon stuff in here, and I get the feeling this is going to be the first of multiple videos around this. So I am going to start off with an Express app in here. We're going to start from the API and work our way up. So let's do API in here. And no, we're gone that, so we'll just let it roll. Okay, cool. I'm going to go into that directory, Pokemon 1, and then I'm going to bring up VS Code. It's going to bring in its own plugins, and I do trust those. And those help out a lot with stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at what this is actually going to do. So I am going to NX run on API the serve method, and that's just going to fire up the API, and we're going to take a look at it. So I'm going to hit option click on that, and it's going to tell you, welcome to the API. So where is that coming from? Well, that's coming from over here in apps, API, source, and then main. We have a pretty simple main to our node app here. It's basically just has one route on it, API, and it says welcome to the API. If I want to say welcome to the API, Jack, I can just hit save. It's actually going to rerun the server, which is really, really nice. And then hit refresh, and away you go. Obviously, no hot loading and hot refresh on an API route. Okay, so what do I want to do next? Well, I want to bring in our data set. So I actually have a local set of Pokemon. I'm going to go do that. Still getting used to this new terminal UI here. Okay, and I'm going to go grab my Pokemon.json file. And this will be in the GitHub, and you have all this code. It's in the GitHub. API, and then into the source directory. And that's the JSON file that has a lot of information about our Pokemon in it. So I'm going to convert this to a Typescript file by just changing JSON to TS. And I'm also going to define what a Pokemon is. I'm going to just copy out the first one here, and then use this really handy and cool VS Code extension that converts a JSON object in the clipboard to TypeScript interfaces. So I'm going to hit save or go on that one. And now I've got some really cool interfacing here. Doesn't know it's Pokemon, so I'm just going to change that to Pokemon. And I'm just going to make this a little bit more succinct. Save like that. And like that. And there we go. Cool. Okay, so that's our Pokemon. And then we're going to export the const of Pokemon, which is a type of Pokemon array. And there we go. So that's looking pretty good. So we've got our data set now. We've got our Pokemon in there. You've got the English name. You've got some hit points, all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with it. We're not going to do much of that. We're just going to go and get these things talking together and sharing around that type. Okay. So next thing we need to do is import that. So I'm going to go over here and import Pokemon from Pokemon. Looks like that. And let's go make a route. So it's apt get. First thing we'll do is just return it. See, Pokemon, and then no need for the request. Don't need that. Or yeah, there you go. And then I'm just going to send back all the Pokemon. And again, hitting save here is going to restart that server. So now I can just go back over here and do /Pokemon. And Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. You got your data. There you go. Awesome. So easy. Okay. And I want to make it a little bit more interesting. I want to have a search endpoint on this as well that we can use. So let's do another one. And we'll call this one search. Pretty obvious. And we'll bring in the request this time. And with that request, we're going to filter down this list of Pokemon. So we want to filter it. And then we want to take the name and the English part of that name. And then we want to bring it into the result if the English name includes the rec query Q. So if you put $Q on the URL, we want that to be used as a filter. So we want that or an empty string, but that's not happy with, Typescript isn't happy with that, so I need to make that as a string, kind of coerce it. So there you go. Cool. So let's try this out. Let's go back over to the browser, search, and then we'll do $equals bulb for Bulbasaur. There we go. Now it just returns the 1. If I want to make this case insensitive, that's actually not that hard either. So let's go and do English.to lowercase to convert the name to lowercase. And now we just have to have this query string as lowercase as well. So let's do Q for that, make a local called Q, and then set it to lowercase. Now let's see. Okay, so I know there's one called spear something. So let's do spear in lowercase. Nice. And we got a Spiro, whatever that is. Awesome. Cool. So I think this is actually about as much as we want from this API. Let us now go and build out our next app. So I'm going to go over here and use this terminal to do an NX list. And actually, let's go over to the bigger terminal so we can see this and do NX list. And this is a list of all the plugins that are available for NX, one of which is Narwhal Next, like this one. So we're going to add that. All right, and with that done, I'm going to do NX and then do G for generate, and then Narwhal Next, and then say that I want an app. And we call this one Next Pokemon. How about that? Let's just use regular with CSS for that. Okay, let's go back into VS Code. And now let's close down these and take a look at what we've generated for our next app. So we're in Next Pokemon, and we've got 2 now. We've got Next Pokemon, and we got Next Pokemon E to E. Yeah, we'll get there too. Okay, so let's go over to Pages and see what it's going to give us. Over an app, it's going to give us kind of a header up in here, and then an index is kind of got a templated page. So let's try this out. Let's do NX run, and then the name of the thing. So Next Pokemon. In this case, we want serve. So that's going to fire up our next server. And that's going to be deployed on localhost 4200. So let's take a look. Okay, not too shabby. All right, but we don't want any of that. So let's get rid of a lot of this stuff. All right, and get rid of a lot of that. Oof. Wow, there's a lot of boilerplate. Okay. All right, and we'll also go over here to app and get rid of the header. Don't really need that. Cool. And let's just take a look at the page. Page is wonderfully blank. Good blank slate for us. Cool. Okay, so what do we need? Well, we need to get the Pokemon, and we need to have like a query field in there. So I'm going to go and kind of start off with the fetching part of this and the state management part of this. So we'll bring in use effect and use state. We're just going to do all our state management locally. And we'll do use effect. And then we'll have a function on there. And this is going to go do the fetch. And it's only going to do it on startup. So we'll do an empty dependency array in there. And then we'll do fetch. And we want the query location. So that's this guy over here. And okay, so at this point it's doing spear, but I really want it to be a search string like that. And you know what? We don't really want this to do just on startup. We want this to do anytime search changes, so and be reactive. So we want to bring in search here, but we haven't defined what search is yet. So search is going to be a state. And we'll just start off with an empty string like that. And this fetch is going to return a response. So we need to do a then, get that response back, get the JSON out of that response. And then with that, we have the data. We have our Pokemon, our list of Pokemon. So we'll call that data. And then we'll do set Pokemon on that data. Okay, now let's go and define what set Pokemon is. Well, it's going to be another piece of state. It's going to be Pokemon and set Pokemon. And it'll be use state. and we'll give it an empty array. But really, we want this to be typed, right? We want this to be an array of Pokemon, like that. So how do we get that done? Well, we want to go and create a shared library that shares that type, the Pokemon type, between the server and the front end. So let's go and do yet another terminal. And in this case, we want to do NXG, again, we're going to generate the narwhal. From the narwhal node package, we want a library, a node library, and we'll call that shared types. All right, and we go over here to libs. We now see a shared types, and it's got some basic stuff in it, but what we're going to do is really just pop the Pokemon definition into here and then share it out. Okay, so let's go over to our API and grab it. It's down in main, nope, Pokemon. Okay, cool, right here. And now I'm going to go and put it into index of the shared types and just paste it right in there. There we go, cool. And now let's go back into our API and use it. So the first place we want to use it is here. So instead of having it defined, we want to import the Pokemon type. So let's say type Pokemon from, and then we'll do at nx Pokemon ones / shared types. Like that. Okay, cool, nice. And let's save on that, and it just works, just like that. Barely even an issue. So now we've got our server using those shared types, and I'm going to go back over to our app. Get rid of this, get rid of that. We're not even going to change that anymore. And we're just going to import it in our next app. And now we've got Pokemon here too. Crazy, woohoo. All right, so let's actually get to getting on implementing this. So I'm going to go and add in an input field. Its value is going to be that search, and its on change is going to be a callback to do on the setter of the search. I want to set it. And so I'll create a callback, use callback, and then const on set search equals use callback. No dependency array, this is never going to change. And what it's going to do is it's going to set that search to whatever the incoming target value is on the event. So let's go and define that. So the event is a React change event on an HTML input field, input element. And then with that, we're going to do set search and do EVT target value. So that's going to set that target value to that. And then, all right, and then we clearly didn't name that properly. Cool, no problem. And now we want to go and output this. So let's go see. I want to go and take the Pokemon and create a UL that has them in it and LIs for each one of them. So let's do a map over that. And now we can see we have all the typing in there. That's really cool. So we'll get out of that the name in English and the ID. And then with that data, we'll create an LI, a list item, where the key is the ID, and the text is the English name. Okay, now that's about as far as I like to go without testing it out, so let's go over to our page and try it out. All right, oh, look at that, pretty cool. So if I hit refresh, I'm just gonna try refresher. Okay, let's make sure, and then let's see, IV, oops, failed to fetch, okay. Oh, I know what the problem is, okay. So let's go over here to network, and when I type IV or whatever in there, we see that it's a CORS error. So our server is refusing the request based on security. So let's go and fix that. Okay, let's go over to our API again. Let's shut that down. Not really. Okay. And then we'll do main.ts. And what I want to do is bring in cores here. Okay. And the first thing I need to do is add cores, the banquet beer, to our project. And this is going to allow anybody to request data from this server. So I need to import cores as cores from cores and then use it. So app.use and then cores. All right, cool. And did it work? Well, we'll see. Okay. So go back over here to our page, refresh, hit Ivy, and it works. Very cool. Okay. So everybody loves SSR. So let's do this SSR-wise as well in Next.js. So what is SSR? Well, SSR is server-side rendering, which means that we will render out the contents of the page before it actually goes to the client. So to do that, Next.js has a really, really nice feature in it called get server-side props. So we'll bring that in. And this is a function that's external to the page, but it goes and gets the data for the page. And it's given a context, which would include like the query parameters. And then it returns a bunch of props that are going to be sent to the component before it renders. So what we want to do is go over here and grab that fetch and bring it in here. And we're going to do a fetch if we see that we have some query in the context. So let's take a look. If context.query q, then we're going to run a query. So that's going to say if we got question mark query on that page, or question mark q query, whatever you want on that page, then we're going to go and fetch it. So, okay. So the first thing we need to do is bring in that one, context query. Put that in here, like so. Now this is an async function, so we're not going to use these thens. We're just going to do an await, actually a lot cleaner. And that's going to give us a result. And then if we do an await on the data, we're going to get our Pokemon. So we're going to say Pokemon equals await res.json. And we'll start off with a Pokemon as an empty array. Like that. And then we'll send Pokemon to the component along with Q. So that'll be initial query as well. So Q, context query. All right, cool. And we got our Pokemon. So let's go back over here. And now in here, we're going to say that we have Q. That's coming in. And Q is a string. Nice. And we'll set that to Q. And then we'll also have some initial Pokemon. So we'll bring that in, but we'll map it to initial Pokemon since we already have a Pokemon locally. And that Pokemon is an array of Pokemon. Thankfully, we have the typing on that. Woohoo! And we'll go and bring that in as our initial Pokemon, like that. Let's see. Okay, so let's save. And go back to our app. Okay, can I read a map of undefined? Okay, area, okay. So this is saying that Q is undefined. That's true. So we want to replace that with a string if it's undefined. Let's try it again. Ah, looking good. Okay, great. So let's do Q equals meta. Nice. Okay, very cool. And how do we know if this was server-side rendered? Well, we can go over here and view the page source and add on line wrap since this is clearly unreadable at this point. And we can see, okay, so we've got our input field, right? It's got the value of meta on it. Very cool, because that came in off the queue. We've got our ULs and LIs that have our metas on them, all the matching stuff. And we've got our next data blob that's going to help for setting up the client side. So everything's awesome and well put together by Next.js and perfect. If you believe that SSR is required for SEO, then This is great. You're all set up for your SEO. Fantastic. But why stop there? Let's go into testing. So, okay. We've got an E2E project set up for us already, so you might as well try that out. Let's go over here to our integration tests, and we've got our Cypress testing stuff in here. So that's what the CY thing is in all of this. So CY is for Cypress. So we are going to go and get the input field, which there's only one on the page. So we're going to get the first one of those. And then we're going to type into it. We're going to say bulb. We're going to check for Bulbasaur, right? So that's our test. We want to test to make sure that the application works by going to that page, typing Bulbasaur, and seeing what the result is. Now, the next thing we want to do is do CY again. And in this case, we want to get an LI. So we should get one LI. There's only one Bulbasaur. So let's get the first one in there. And we'll say that that should. And you get a whole bunch of options here. And we can say text or have text. And we'll say that that's going to have the text of Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur. Okay, cool. All right, let's give it a try. So let's go back into our terminal. And this time we're going to do NX run. And this is called the next-Pokemon-EDE. And within that, we are going to run EDE. And this is actually going to run Cypress, actually connect to our app, and do all that. But it's not, because the address is already in use. Well, one thing it's going to do is it's going to start up our app. So we don't need to have our app started. So let's Control-C on that. And there we go. So now we're going to run it again. Now that our app is down. I have to catch this real quick, because this actually runs really, really fast. All right, it types it all in, and it finds it, and then it says, great, you're good. And it's actually created a video for us if we want to watch that video. But one thing we can do is we can also just grab a screenshot. So I'm going to do cy.get, get the body of the page, and then do a screenshot of that. And then run this again. All right, it's going, going, going. Boom. And there we go. And it did a screenshot. And now we're going to go over here and go into our dist directory, which is where it puts all those screenshots. And within that, Cypress, take a look what's in there, apps. Within that, it's next Pokemon, cool. And then screenshots. And then app spec.ts. And then we'll open that up. And there you go. Cool. So that is what is screenshotted right at the end there, kind of proving that our test actually worked. The whole body of the page was this Bulbasaur text field and this Bulbasaur. Rockin'. Okay, so what have we learned in this video? So much. It's crazy. Okay, so we have put together an API that's a REST-based API that exposes our Pokemon. It does it via cores so that anybody can use it. We have built on top of that a Next app with server-side rendering that searches using that endpoint and also does the server-side rendering version of that. So it searches on the initial page fetch, which is a really cool and amazing. And we've even layered on top of that the EDE specs using Cypress to actually go and test that this all worked. And not just that, we actually even share our types between the back end and the front end. So pretty much a full spectrum thing. Of course, all of this code is available to you on GitHub on the description link below. Well, if you are interested in me doing more on this topic, for example, sharing components between two applications or doing something like GraphQL, be sure to put that in the comments down below, or just tell me any of your reaction to this video in the comments down below. I really, really appreciate it. Of course, in the meantime, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you really like the video, hit the subscribe button, click on the bell, and you'll be notified the next time one of these videos comes around.